Everybody, and welcome to our Pokemon Unite Advanced Tips series. Today we're going to be talking about Blastoise. This is advanced tips for Blastoise. Tip number one is people are still sleeping on Muscle Band right now. Muscle Band's phenomenally good, and I understand that Blastoise is a special attacker theoretically, but Blastoise actually has a good amount of attack, almost as much as special attack, and Muscle Band doesn't scale off attack. It scales off of your opponent's HP. Now, Blastoise's third attack and all of his attacks when he's in a Blastoise mode, his final form is very strong. The ability to do continual AoE damage, so the attack speed from Muscle Band is actually the main purpose of why people should consider Muscle Band, bringing Muscle Band on Blastoise. This, in fact, is my favorite ranked Blastoise build right now: Focus Band, Muscle Band, and Buddy Barrier. So, and I think we'll be able to show you, hopefully, during this video a little bit about how Muscle Band helps, but that's tip number one. Tip number two, for that, we're going to have to show you, it's pretty cool, show you in the practice tool. Okay, so Squirtle actually has a really good lane phase. I think people sleep on it a little bit as well. The Skull Bash through and the Water Gun back is your main play as Squirtle. So here, in fact, let's actually turn off our move cooldowns. So your ideal way of playing Squirtle early game against other Pokemon, other opponents, is going to be a Skull Bash through them, and then a knock back into your team member. So Skull Bash through them for the stun, knock them back into your team member. This Water Gun also does a pretty decent slow to people. So by using your Skull Bash and combining it with a solid Water Gun hit, which I missed there, you can do a lot of movement control of enemy Pokemon while in this early laning phase. Look how much I can push this guy. It's actually another really good way of controlling and stealing objectives. So, for example, you can Skull Bash through and then push into the bush where your teammate could be, or where you're going to be in a second. And it's a really nice way of kind of controlling distance and using and combining Skull Bash with your Water Gun in order to get a lot of extra value from your movement. So that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. Next tip, let's level up a few more times until we get Surf. The next tip is going to be controlling the neutral mobs using Surf, and I'll show you this right now. For example, I'm trying to secure this away from my enemy. I can Surf through them and then push them into the wall to get extra damage, or conversely, you can push them away from the enemy and push them over into your team. And so when you're using your Surf and your Hydro Pump in order to control the distance and the angle of which the neutral mobs are being hit, you can really deny a lot of experience from the enemy team. So in addition to kind of using, so for example, I want to talk a bit more about that it stuns them when you knock them into a wall with Hydro Pump. It doesn't technically, but the important thing that's kind of happening is that they're still technically in movement during the whole duration of the Hydro Pump, even if they're against a wall. So, you know, you get the push, but as long as they're still within that Hydro Pump push range, so I'll give you an example here. The distance to which it's pushing, even if it's pushing into the wall, it's still stunned for that period of time. And that makes the stun into the wall a really good idea for Blastoise mains. So in addition to being able to, controller going AWOL apparently. In addition to being able to push your team or different mobs in and away from your enemies, you also can push mobs or other enemies into walls and then use the additional time that they're locked down to keep them still. What you don't want to do is be throwing the enemies into areas where you cannot actually have your team attack them, right? So if you're going to push your enemy right out from where your team is, you haven't actually done any good. So using something like a Surf and a Hydro Pump, you can use Surf to push Rotom into the wall and keep it there. And as it's trying to run back, you can use your Surf again or your Hydro Pump to keep it over there. And in this way, you can actually keep Rotom really far away for a long time. Look how long you can keep Rotom sanctioned off from any potential enemies that are in the area. So a really good idea for Blastoise is to use that ability in order to ensure that you are maximizing your control of mobs. And that's why Surf and Hydro Pump currently is the best play for a Blastoise. There's one more play, one more tip, advanced tip I really want to show you with Blastoise here. And that is going to be the Unite move combined with the eject button. So there's a couple ways of doing it. First thing you need to know is that before your Unite move goes off, you can flash. you see how I did that? Before my Unite move was actually flying, I flashed away. There's something else you can do. So the final tip here that I'm going to show you is how to actually get additional range with your Unite move. Something that I want to preface this with is that this has been pretty tough for me to actually get done. And so I want to kind of show you it the best of my ability. Basically, you can flash right after the start of your Unite sequence in order to hit a little bit more of a range. Right now, this Crabbo on the left is too far away. The Crabbo on the right is within range. But if I Unite and it flash the moment I start to actually hit, you can actually hit both of them, which is giving your Unite move some extra range. I'll show you kind of that it wouldn't have hit if I was... So we were about like right there. If I don't move, I only hit the one on the right. So the problem with this is that you have to be pretty careful, because if you go too late, you won't be able to do that. But if you go too early, you'll also miss it. Do you see how I was too late on that one? So the timing has to be basically perfect. But the point is, it's possible to do it. So not only can you flash before the Unite goes off in order to make sure that somebody trying to run away doesn't get away, you can flash right at the start of it and still get the knock up and still get the damage on multiple people. But goodness, the timing has to be pretty perfect. So there you go. Those are the advanced tips for Blastoise. Hopefully you enjoyed, and maybe you have learned something. If you have, go ahead and hit that like button, and maybe subscribe. Lots more to come. So peace out, guys.
Yes.